Well, welcome back to Can We Have a Conversation? We had an interesting conversation about fatherhood. We had an interesting conversation about communications. And I just want to know, based on what we talked about previously, what did you get out of that?
I got out of it like that I should talk to my dad instead of keeping it in and not like break down the wall against me and him and let my feelings out more.
I've learned how to, this whole conversation made me rethink my choices and how I cope with the fact that my mom and my dad are separated and what might have caused that to affect us and affect him mentally.
Very good. And Laura?
I got out of it that I should be able to talk to my father whenever I feel like I need to, and it makes me comfortable to talk to him, and this conversation is also making me comfortable.
Good. So one of the things that I wanted to ask was, because a lot of kids do this and they think like this, is they wonder, because my mother and father are not together, maybe it was my fault. Maybe it's something that I've done. And it's not really anything you've done because you're a child and your mother and father are adults and they make decisions. So have you ever thought about that? If I would have did something different, you're shaking your head. You have thought that before? Would you like to share that?
So I always thought it was because I was a little crazy, like when I was little, and they couldn't handle it, so they just had to like split up. And then it was easier for them to go like once, one person for a little, and then they go to another person.
Now you do know that's not true, right?
Now I know.
Oh, okay. So, but when did you come up to that point?
When my mom first told me that it wasn't me, it was just that they had problems together, that they couldn't handle each other, and that's when I knew that it wasn't me, so I should be okay.
Good.
I thought it was my fault mostly because I went to court because something happened between our family. They had me in a room and I was scared. I had nervous. I said that my dad or something didn't hit my mom, and I didn't want to say that because he was kind of like rough at that moment. So it was like I got nervous and I had like an attack, and then I just made everyone upset. So I just think that's why. I just made everyone upset.
And I used to also think that because when me and Cassie were born, I used to think that it was just because my dad didn't feel like having kids because he was afraid that he would make the same mistake his mom did, and that affected me a lot. And I felt really sad because Cassie has to carry that burden of that moment she lied in court because she was afraid that she will be in danger if she told the truth. And I also feel like that I want to help Cassidy be there and let her know that it wasn't her fault at all, because I know Cassidy and she's really an innocent person. She's very sweet and she does stuff because she has a care and she does care, and I want to make me and her feel safe and know that stuff that's happening around us isn't because it's of us.
That's very good. That's very good, because a lot of people grow up into their adulthood still believing that the cause of the breakup between their mother and father is because of them. And so that impacts their lives differently in a lot of decisions that they make. When we talk about depression, when we talk about other relationships, because now you have a different opinion, a different perspective on how you see yourself, because you think that if you did something different, then there would be a difference in the relationships between your mother and father, which is not true. It's just what we say is a myth. It's not a truth to that. But it's good to communicate that so that as you continue to grow and mature, that you understand that, my mom and dad had some issues, and it was better because they have those issues for them not to be together, so that we can, all be protected, or we all can live in a peaceful environment, a loving environment.
We were just discussing that during the break, because when we closed last time, you had said, what would you like to see happen between your parents or something along those lines. And Laura was saying, oh, I want them back together, you know, even though they've definitely moved on, and they also have significant other. And so we were discussing, like, you know, well, what about the significant other they have right now? And you know, when they're together, they're going to be arguing, and you're going to be okay with that? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, and my final question to her, I was like, well, don't you want your parents to be happy together? They're unhappy. And that kind of, you know, sent a light in her. And she was like, oh, no, I do want everybody to be happy. So
Yeah, sometimes we want what we want because we want it, you know, but we don't always think about what's best for the whole picture. I mean, you know, everybody, you know, and so, you know, I want, you know, my mother and father to be together and live to grow old, but unfortunately that didn't happen. And so, you know, it impacted me differently. You know, my mother and father got separated when I was in high school. So I was a senior in high school, you know, which impacted, I was a basketball player, it impacted me playing. I got caught up with some wrong guys and doing some wrong things because I was acting out on how I felt rather than being able to have that communication. I had a good relationship with my mother, but I didn't have a really good relationship with my father. But in the back of my mind, I always wished that, you know, we could have what we used to have. You know, even though it might not have been the best, and sometimes it might not have been the most functional, but because it was a part of our family, we wanted it. Now, what happens is when we go through and we get older and we begin to experience other things in life, then we have to start looking at it, and you seem to, Brooklyn, to really have a grasp on this because you're looking at all perspectives from a different version, and you see things that most young ladies your age would not see as far as the relationship with your father and his grandmother, or his mother, your grandmother, and so now it's that place where you have to reach out to him and have those kind of conversations. And the other thing is, what would you do different if you was a parent than what you're receiving right now?
If I was a parent, I would try to be more involved in my children and make sure constantly that they had nothing carrying them down, because this situation particularly has affected me in a lot of ways. I become insecure about myself. I have depression sometimes, and sometimes I feel insecure about myself as a body form and as in like mind form, that one day I will grow up and I will become like more like my dad or my mom, and I'm afraid. And sometimes that affects me. I don't share that. I don't share the fact that I'm depressed sometimes because like Cassie worries about people, and I don't want her worrying about me. I don't want anybody else in my family worrying about me. But it happens to me, and I have depression sometimes, and I have insecurities, and I sometimes start like disliking myself because of the fact that my parents weren't together, and I guess that in fact impacts it a lot.
I can understand that very well. Thank you for sharing that.
And for me, like, actually, my grandma, she passed away. And then when that happened, my mom, she cut her hair off because my grandma died from cancer. She cut all her hair off. And then my dad, since my mom did that, my dad was like, oh, like, yeah, I should not have been rude to you in the past. And that's how they got, like, more closer. And then one day they just called each other, and then my dad was like, hey, I know your stepdad, he has like a social club. He was like, he's having a party tonight from Valentine's Day. And then she was like, you know what, since you live right up the street from that, you're invited. And then ever since that, they like haven't had no arguments. Nothing from that, because both my mom's parents died from the same thing, and yeah.
That's That's a wonderful story. That's a great story. What do you learn from that story?
To like, no matter what, be nice to people, because I will end up like my mom and my dad. Like, I will end up good, but I will end up like having a big gap and then coming back to the future. Like, then coming back good, like a big gap.
Very good.
And it's unfortunate that had to happen in order for your parents to see eye to eye again. But sometimes, everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, sometimes we look at things and we think it's the worst scenario ever. It's like, oh, I can't believe that happened. But there's always something good that can come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that anything is wasted. I always tell people, especially young people, that life is a classroom. You understand that? So you don't just go to class to learn. When after school, you're still learning. Whether you're reading a book, or you're watching things, or you're talking to people, or you're making mistakes, and you're always learning. And that's what makes you become better people, is because you continue to learn. You continue. See, this conversation right here is a conversation that you will continue to think about, even through your adulthood. And I remember having a conversation on this talk show, and we were talking about parenting, and we were talking about fatherhood, and really, now I'm going to decide what kind of husband I'm going to marry. You ever thought about that? So let me share this with you. So my oldest daughter was 13, right? And I told her, and I'm gonna ask you all to do the same thing, is to make a list of all the things you wanted in your husband. Write all of the things that you want. If you could marry a husband, what would that be? My daughter had that list until she got married. And she said her husband has everything on it. She checked off the list. Now, why do we write that list?
Because you write that list because if you don't pray, and ask for those things to happen, it really probably won't happen. But if you do, it's like 100% chance that it will happen. So that's why you gave me amazing advice, because now that you said that, I think I will do that, but my dad does not want me to have a boyfriend until I'm 40. Is what he always says. He's
All
like,
fathers
no.
are like that.
He's like, no, you cannot have a boyfriend. And he's like, I do not want you to make the mistake that I did and have, because my mom had me at 20, so he does not want me to have a baby at 20, because my mom is gonna be mad, and I'm not gonna be able to take care of her because I probably will not have a house by 20.
Yeah. And that is a wonderful thing, because prayer is always important. As far as the Bible says that God will give you the desires of your heart, and that means, but He's not going to give you the desires of your heart if it's wicked or crazy stuff. But if you're living for Him and you're looking to serve Him in a way that's going to give Him glory, then He will give you those desires of your heart. Now, one of the reasons why I said that it was very important to write these things down is because I've noticed that when I was dating women, there was a lot of women that didn't know what they wanted in a man. And so they would want me to fill in the gap of what they wanted. And I'm like, well, how do you want me to give you what you want when you don't know? So then I said, if I ever have a child, I'm going to have her make a list of the things she wants. So what happens is, whenever you begin to get in a relationship with a young man, if they don't have what is on your list, then you don't waste your time.
Sure.
See, there's a lot of women they don't know, so they're just picking and choosing people that has nothing in common with them.
And what he's saying is so true, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I've been through a divorce. And that was one of the first things I did, because I was writing a list of what I didn't like about my ex-husband and all that. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, you need to make a list of what you want in a man. And I did that. I picked about 10 things in my current husband, and he met about 8 of those 10 things. So, and I always tell my girlfriends this, or I give a testimony in church, but I never thought about telling my daughters to do the same thing. And I'm going to do that now. So
Absolutely.
you helped me. It's so important.
And I tell people this all the time. It would be a terrible thing to climb a ladder that you think is success, only to get to the top to realize it's not success. Success is not based on material things. You understand that, right? The success can be the fact that you have a father in your life who spends time with you and who tells you that he loves you. Or that you have a mother who's there for you, or a grandmother, or somebody. You know, that's a successful, that's success, you know. A success is the fact that you get all 4s and 3s, or you get all 4s. You understand what I'm saying? So of course we still have to make the list because we need to set an expectation. You understand what I'm saying? There's a goal that we want to achieve, and if you don't have a list, then you can't achieve that goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So for instance, I said, you know, me growing up in East Oakland was rough, and we did some things that we shouldn't have did, and there was a lot of fighting and a lot of killings, and so I joined the service and moved out of Oakland. And so I said, you know, I'm going to buy my first house when I turn 21. And I didn't buy my first house at 21, but I bought it at 23. But see, I set a goal. The goal was 21, so that was to keep me on target. And I stayed on it. Now I'm a little hard on myself because I didn't make the 21, but I'm still keeping the goal because I wrote it down. So does that make sense when I say to set the expectation? So see, these are some of the things that we learn from our trials and tribulations. My dad never taught me that, but that was something that I learned. And I said, you know what, I'm going to carry that on and give this to my children. And these are some of the things that you guys are going to learn and give to your children. So you said your mom got, you know, pregnant when she was 20. So then how did that work for you?
Well, of course I wasn't alive, but today at Girls Inc., we were counting. I was like, since I'm 9 and my mom is 29, just count back into 8 years, and I was like, okay, 20. And then I was like, I never knew that. And then she had Brooklyn at 18. And then I was like, wow, my mom was struggling because for the couple, until I was 3, she was living with my grandma. And then after that, after we started going to court, then I moved with my other grandma. And then, but we go her house every other weekend, take us to the beach, and I love my mom so much. She always does things for us. I can tell she cares about us. No matter what, somebody hurts us, she knows who and why, and like she cares about me so much. I just know that she does.
And I have to agree with Cassie. I love my mom and my dad because they both care about us so much. And they try their best, even though their best might not be my expectation, but I try to live up to accepting them as a human being. And that's really like the thing. I could tell my mom was struggling also, and it wasn't just my dad and me having struggles. I could tell my mom had struggles because she lost at one point. She lost all 7 of her children, and it was hard for her because she had a depression that bring her down. And when her mom died, it bring her down even more. And I could tell that both of us, the sides of my family, my mom and my dad, were just depressed that time where she didn't have any of her kids. But my dad has improved. He got one of his kids back. And my mom got most of her kids back. She got 5 of her kids back.
But she has 2 sons that are still with their dad because their dad is so selfish. And that's why I got mad at my mom when she told me that she was pregnant with him, because he's not a good guy. I'm not saying he's bad. He takes care of his children. He cares about his children, but like he doesn't take things seriously. He's always laughing about stuff. When my mom says, can I see the boys for a weekend? She just laughs, like it's not funny. It's like when she wants to see her son. Like my mom just had a baby, June 23rd last year, and he's about to turn 1. And my mom was like, no matter what, I'm getting him for his birthday. Like my mom is not playing, because last birthday for my 3-year-old brother, we barely got him. So it's like this year it's not gonna be like that. So I'm just so glad that she stood up and put her foot down to him, and now she's learned from the mistakes that happened in the past, and now she's just strong, and she turns her back to people that she knows that are not good. She had bad friends in the past, but now she's like, okay, I can't talk to you because I have kids now, and I need to do the best I can to work for my kids. And she's trying to find the best job she can. She actually works at a social club, and she works at T-Mobile, so she's really improving.
And I also tell my dad's improving because he just broke up with one of his girlfriends, and I'm so happy because I don't care if that's his baby mama. I'm still gonna be happy because now you're stuck with one girlfriend, and I'm proud of him because I could see that he's improving. He still lies a lot, but he's improving on the fact that he's not with the good in his hustle. So he stopped that, and now that's pretty good now.
You said a lot. But one of the things that you said was that you were proud of him. Have you ever told him that you were proud of him?
I have. It hasn't been any recently, but I have before.
Do you think that us as fathers like to hear when our children tell us that you're proud of us? Why?
Because my father knows that I'm proud of him, and he's always defending me. He's growing, like I am, like he's growing.
What about you, Laura? Is there ever a time that you told your father that you're happy about something that he's done in your life?
When I tell him that I'm proud of him, he gets happy and he starts crying sometimes, and I get a tear too, and it makes me happy that he's happy that I told him that I'm proud of him.
You know, one of the things about us as men, I'm gonna share with you, is we like to be validated. Validates means that we like to hear compliments. We like to be built up. You know, that's what we like. And so if you really want to get to a man, you know, when you're married or your dad, and you really want to get to his heart, tell him something good about himself. Always before you say something bad, say something good. These are kind of like adult conversations, but you have to learn how to do it. And I'm listening to your conversation now, so I know you're capable of doing this. And so these are some of the things that, because I don't care who the father is, the father needs to be a part of your life. And a lot of times, men run from their responsibilities because of fear. Fear because they haven't had the models and the people to teach them how to become fathers. And so they say, I don't know what to do. And so rather than stay there and try to do it, they run because of fear. But when they can get validated and they have someone that can say, hey, Dad, I really appreciate this. You think it would work a little harder to be that father? I think so. What do you think?
I think he would work harder because he would be more understanding of the situation that I'm going through personally, and he would be more like open, and he would check on me more, I feel like. So I think that if I told him that, he would improve.
What are some of the things that you're going to walk away from this show? Tell me we'll start with Laura first. What are you going to do when you leave the show?
I'm gonna tell him more often that I'm proud of him. I'm gonna make him feel better about himself and make him feel proud of himself as well.
Very good. And in Brooklyn?
I will change the fact that I don't have trust in him. I'm trying to ease up because I'm understanding now that he probably tells a lie because he's trying to, there's a reason so we don't get mad at him, even though we get mad at him when he tells a lie. I'm gonna start being understanding and telling him and catching him in a line like I catch Cassidy. And I'm gonna also tell him I'm proud of him because I am proud of him. There's a lot of qualities about him that I enjoy. And they're just little things about him that I wish he could change that impact me a lot.
Very good.
And me, I will walk away from the show saying that I will talk to him more if he did something that I didn't like, or somebody complained to me that they didn't like about him. I would tell him so it won't get too late and he will do it again. I would tell him before that happens so it won't happen again and he will fix his mistakes.
Very good. So Tiffany, what do you think about this? I appreciate you bringing these young ladies and just, we've talked about this and we missed it a couple of times, but now we're here, we have this show, and I pray that we'll continue this conversation with some of the older girls and you know, even some other girls at this age so that we can keep the conversation going.
Yes, we would love to come back. I'm so proud of these girls. for opening up and sharing. I didn't know it was going to be this intense, but they did so well, and they're just really, you guys are the epitome of being strong, smart, and bold, and what we teach at Girls Inc. to open those lines of communications and tell people how you feel, and not bottle it up and be passive aggressive. Just even with your parents, talk to your parents and let them know how you feel, and things will work out. Things will work out. It'll take time, and it's not easy, but it'll work out.
So Cassidy, Brooklyn, and Laura, I thank you for coming, and just know that you are some special young ladies.
Thank you.
That
Thank you.
God has his hand on your life, and that there's not a mistake that you're here. And yes, we go through some tough times in life, but they're only to help build us up, to make us stronger. So until the next time, you've seen it on Can We Have a Conversation? And until the next time, we'll see you soon. Take care and God bless.